What's up, everyone? I'm Shindigs with the Collegiate Starleague, and I'm here with Diggity, the MC for this event. And I'm just going to catch up with him and what's been going on with him. So first of all, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Feeling really relaxed right this second, actually.
All right, very cool. So, I mean, you're a pretty known caster in the Starcraft 2 community.
Relatively, yeah.
Relatively. Well, I mean, you're the big Brood War English casters.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I know you kind of started casting Brood War kind of around the time you just graduated college, if I'm correct. Can you just tell us quickly about your, educational background, what you studied in college, first of all?
Okay. I was actually, well, I went to UCSD and started off in computer science and then couldn't hack it, so I dropped to political science. And then, yeah, graduated about a year or two after I was doing a bunch of temp work, started commentating with Moltrap. Then everything's happened. Moltrap's now in Korea. I'm working full-time at Divix/Rovi/Sonic, well, Rovi officially overall. And so I've had less time to commentate recently just because work, basically.
You were obviously a big fan of Starcraft Brood War.
Right.
Did you play a lot in college? Did you cast a bit in college, or did you kind of get really into it not until after you graduate?
It's actually funny. I was not a Brood War. Well, I played Brood War when I was in college, and everybody was bad back then, but I was bad too. Like, I stopped playing Brood War when spawning pools stopped costing 150. That was the patch I stopped to give people. And then I was gone forever. I actually played a lot of Counter-Strike, and Counter-Strike was really my game more than Brood War was. And then actually played a couple other games in between. I actually gave up Counter-Strike, and I was decently competitive in that for a lot of reasons I won't get into. It would be a really long explanation. But then I came across File Attack. Moltrap, actually it was Moltrap who came across it first. Moltrap found the Korean games being played, and he's like, hey, check it out, Brood War games. And it's like a big thing. And so we watched the games from Vile Attack, and then we found Klazart, who put English commentary on it, which we thought improved it vastly. And then Klazart retired, and Moltrap and I were like, we don't know a ton about Brood War. At least I was. I don't want to speak for him, but no one else is doing this, and if someone else doesn't pick it up, it's going to stop here. So we basically both started at the same time commentating Brood War to keep it going, and we've kept going ever since, and now there's a billion casters out there, and you have guys who are full-time on YouTube and otherwise, like Day9, Husky, HD, and I'd like to think I had a hand in that, an influential hand in that, and it's just awesome to see everything blow up, basically.
Yeah, very cool. So you mentioned earlier that you did attend UCSD, and obviously I think during your time there, I don't think the CSL team was formed just yet.
I was there when the CSL team, I wasn't at UCSD, but I was in that arena with Winter Games Fest and actually working with Duran, so Xerus, who started the CSL team there, and actually I was right there at the foundation when Mona and Xerus were actually forming CSL right to start before the entire CSL Plus fiasco, which I won't talk about now. It was bizarre, but yeah, that was right when they got started, and I knew I knew the first generation UCSD CSL team, basically each of the individuals there, and I could probably list them off, but there's like 12 of them, so I'll just say like random Korean and David Kim and those guys. So anyway.
Yeah. I mean, you've obviously casted a lot for the CSL in the past, so of course, thank you very much. Back, old school Brood War caster,
Yeah.
casting our old school games. But what else did you do to kind of help out your CSL team, if you did at all? Did you just kind of attend meetings, or were you kind of mostly independent?
Mostly I would have lunch with them or dinner. We'd go to islands a lot and hang out and do things like that. Also, when they had the big events, just going and helping promote the events where I could. So, for example, and if this is kind of a leading question of how you get involved otherwise, attend, go, hang out. Even if you're not a very good player, even if you don't hang out, like just being in and around that energy and being with those people, it's incredible. It's a great experience. It's how you build new friendships. And I really think that's what esports is basically a vehicle for. It's a vehicle for hanging out with people and forming really cool friendships. And CSL, I think, is basically the best way to do that, period. Hands down the best way to do that. And so I think the best way to support what I did at the beginning is just go to the meetings, attend, meet the people, talk to the people when they have events, throw the events and just tell people. Like I put up YouTube videos to help, but really what was more effective is I ran into a guy and like, oh, you play Brood War? Oh, you go to UCSD? Are you on your CSL team? And just whenever you hear those two things, immediately, yeah, get people involved is really what it comes down to. Now less because I'm not at UCSD as much, and I'm full-time working schlub. But I'm planning on attending Winter Games Fest this year, which is big for UCSD, Irvine, Riverside, and that's actually where I met you, Shindigs.
Yeah, for sure.
Original CSL.
Pound Starcraft on Esper.
Anyway, and it's a great event, and I think that's that's what makes CSL awesome. It's really comes down to.
Yeah, so I mean, now that we're talking about the collegiate scene, have you been keeping up with UCSD's results lately? Not so much?
I know they haven't been doing well since Ziris dropped off the team. I have talked to a couple of the players, and I know they had some. So they have guys like NRG Cheese, who was there before and then less active, and I think he's back active again. And so I know they've taken hits, especially there's kind of the weird lap over where Starcraft, Brood War, they were incredible and really dominant. Starcraft 2, they had a huge influx, but there's been kind of a weird back and forth. I haven't been as involved just because of not having time to be involved recently, but yeah, I'm a little bit disappointed by the results, which was funny because the first, I think it was 2 seasons, I was like, UCSD, they just give them the trophy now, and they ended up losing year 1, year 2, but they took year 3 championship with the epic gamer. Nooney ended up getting taken. Nobody thought that David Kim was going to beat, I think it was David Kim, was going to beat Nooney, and he ended up taking him down in the ace match, which was an epic final. And I'm sure Nooney was like, oh, it was geez, and an off game, which probably, whatever it was, but it still made a great story and was awesome. But yeah, recently, not so much. I'm hoping they can pick it back up. But now CSL, I mean, back then it was 40 teams.
44 schools.
44 schools, something like that. Now there's 250. And yeah, I hope they can pick it back up and reorganize, but sheesh.
Yeah, well, got distracted by the door there, but yeah, I mean, you talk a lot about the old school CSL days, so it's really cool you remember all that and cast. When you cast all those games, you definitely remember all the crazy epic ones, especially in Brood War. I feel like in Brood War now, maybe you can talk about this a bit. I mean, in Brood War, I feel like almost every game I watched, it's almost ingrained in my mind. And this isn't, a knock on StarCraft 2, but there are a lot of I've watched a lot of StarCraft 2 games, but I can't recall a lot of them sometimes. I mean, do you feel the same way?
I think it's age. So, you get older, you stop remembering things. No, I think I think part of what it is it's also the Brood War, the way it was developed was a lot sharper. StarCraft 2 can still get that sharp. It's just going to take time to get there. In fact, I think it's just now starting to get there where it was in the Brood War days. Where it is, because back then, even like the Collegiate Starleague, and you're saying, oh, well, that's true, the Koreans, but the thing is everybody emulates whoever's at the top. And right now, it's getting there, but it's still not as sharp at the top as it was in the Brood War days. That's actually one of my big concerns is when Heart of the Swarm comes out, that will reset back to 0 and have to redevelop it. But I think it is starting to get there. I mean, you look at some of the NASL games, you look at MLG. Actually, MLG in particular, watching a lot of the MLG games, I thought, wow, these games are as sharp, if not, well, this is equivalent sharpness to especially the Naniwa and Naniwa Leenock finals in the game Low Sierra, the games he was involved in. I was like, wow, these are really, really, really sharp games, and this isn't any less than Brood War was at its height. So anyway, hopefully it'll get back to that stage, and that'll become standard and minimum, but it'll take time, and we'll see.
All right, very cool. So what do you feel the role of collegiate organizations, collegiate teams, or even like amateur players who go to colleges, and sometimes they have to work part time and go to school, and for some of them it's really it's a legitimate goal for them to be a pro gamer, be involved in esports somehow. How do you think 2012, as we move forward, is going to influence these people's decisions to move on and hopefully make pro gaming a career, or sorry, that was the question.
You can edit it in later. I think CSL and Barcraft are actually the future of the growth of esports, and they're going to be incredibly important, period. Because right now, I think CSL helps organize and motivate people who want to get involved in esports in a really real way, and honestly, that in the future, let's pretend we do get an established game. That's where all of the talent is going to have to be generated. That's where all the talent is going to have to be discovered, in my opinion. And that's a great way to foster it, and that's a great way to organize people. And then hopefully they'll tie in with Barcraft, and that'll allow people, once they do become working guys like me, there's something that they can lap over to. So get involved with CSL, develop the friendships, and then keep those friendships and keep involved in esports over the long haul, rather than just having it to be the 18 to 25 drop off, which it is currently. It's still to agree, but we're seeing a little bit more drop-offs. I see, like, every once in a while, 35-year-old or a guy who's even 40. Oh my God, so old. Yeah. That makes it out, and I'm hoping that becomes more the trend, that becomes more standard rather than kind of the rarity where it's like, oh, I don't have time anymore, so therefore I've given up all video games, and if I can't play, I don't want to watch, so just give it up. And hopefully that becomes less the case. And we do see the guys who, like Cheese, actually. Cheese is a great example where he should be a guy who has a shot at a professional team, and he should be paid to play, honestly. Hopefully it'll encourage more of that, especially when there's more of an established player base. I'm not sure that we're totally there. You know, we have some players, Hockey that are full-time established, but less now. But hopefully once that comes, CSL will be like that gateway, just like current collegiate games are, like football for the NFL, for example.
All right, so you're still kind of a old. I still regard you as an old school caster. You're not tied to any sponsorships, so we're not going to ask for sponsor shoutouts. But any last shoutouts you'd like to make to your alma mater or anything like that?
Well, I'll definitely give a huge shout out to UCSD. Actually, I'll give it to all the Southern California UC schools, because when I don't root for UCSD first, I'll be rooting for one of the other UC schools in the CSL stuff. I do actually keep pretty close attention to, even then, while I'm at work, if I'm not watching the games themselves, I'll actually keep an eye on the scoreboard to see who's doing well in the UC system, as UC Pride. Otherwise, shout out to all the barcrafts, particularly San Diego Barcraft and Southern California Barcraft, and I guess Moltrap, who's out in Code A doing the GOM TV stuff now, to go with the old school cred and keep the, and all those guys at GOM, because they're awesome, and support them. That's what it comes down to.
All right, thanks.